Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Sports Medicine, offering services for sports injury and recovery, with physicians and athletic trainers who provide treatment for fractures, dislocations, sprains, strains, and other sports-related issues. More information on services at stalphonsus.org. So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
You've made it to Friday. It's the Connector Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. It's May 22nd. I'm Troy Oppie. Here are this morning's headlines. A harassment lawsuit brought by a former city of Caldwell police officer has been settled. With millions at stake over exit fees, the Pac-12 and Mountain West conferences say they're headed for a settlement. And Idaho Power preparing to shed its 20,000 customers in eastern Oregon. Up first this morning, a lawsuit challenging Idaho's anti-trans school bathroom bill has been dropped. Julie Luqueta has more.
Shortly after the law went into effect in 2023, a Boise High student and the school's Sexuality and Gender Alliance Club sued the state, saying it violated the Equal Protection Clause, Title IX, and the right to privacy. Under the law, students are prohibited from using restrooms that do not align with their birth sex, and schools must provide alternative single-occupancy facilities. The plaintiffs argued it discriminated against trans students by singling them out. The plaintiffs voluntarily dismissed the case on Wednesday, and the lawsuit was dropped without prejudice. In their court filing, attorneys for the plaintiffs said one of the students graduated this week, and the other, a member of the Sexuality and Gender Alliance Club, passed away. Idaho Ed News reports the student died by suicide. The law allows students to sue schools for each instance of encountering a person of the opposite sex in a public school restroom, changing facility, or sleeping quarters, for a minimum fine of $5,000. In a press release, Attorney General Raul Labrador said, quote, "Idaho families can be confident that this law is fully in effect and will remain so." Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
The harassment lawsuit brought by a former city of Caldwell police officer against the city, its former mayor, Jerem Wagner, and police chief, Rex Ingram, has been settled for $1.5 million. KIVI Television first reported the settlement between Allison Butler and the city. Butler had accused Caldwell police of gender-based discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. The city released a statement confirming the settlement and indicating all parties were happy to settle. Police Chief Rex Ingram told KIVI the settlement was directed by the city's insurance carrier, and it indicates no guilt or fault on his behalf. Butler's lawsuit had accused the city of burying an investigation into her claims of inappropriate behavior, issuing only minor discipline to Chief Ingram, and that resulted in additional harassment and retaliation against Butler, which ended her law enforcement career. More than 250,000 Idahoans are expected to hit the road or the skies for holiday weekend travel. That projection, officially, it's 45 million Americans nationwide and 268,000 Idahoans, is from Travel Club AAA. The Boise Airport calls this the summer travel season kickoff, and it's encouraging travelers to arrive early, plan ahead if you need to park, and to check out the new Boise Airport History display, which also includes the airport's future expansion plans. Gas prices, though, are at 4-year highs, a statewide average of $4.69 a gallon, according to AAA. The state's most expensive gas is in central Idaho, with counties near or above $5 a gallon on average. Recent enhanced DUI patrols in the Treasure Valley resulted in a significant decrease in DUI arrests, according to state police. ISP reports 16 DUI arrests in the weekend leading up to Cinco de Mayo. That's about half from the year earlier, though ISP reported state police and its local enforcement partners made 14 warrant-based arrests and issued other citations during the enhanced enforcement period. Additional patrols will be out this holiday weekend as well, according to state police, with emphasis on safe driving in the Highway 55 corridor between Avamore and New Meadows. Memorial Day also begins what law enforcement and traffic safety experts call the 100 deadliest days, a period of increased car crashes. Idaho had 87 fatal accidents between the Memorial and Labor Day holidays last year. That's about average over the previous 4 years, but it's down from a recent peak of 100 in 2021. Pedestrian and bicycle accidents in the summer fell by about half last year after spiking in 2023, according to state police. Americans behind on child support payments could soon find that their passports have been revoked. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare announced it has begun enforcing a new federal directive requiring the suspension of a passport for non-custodial parents with $100,000 or more in owed child support payments. The state, in a news release, says that could affect about 150 non-custodial parents in Idaho, though the department didn't know how many might have active passports, which are now at risk. The threshold for passport revocation will lower to $75,000 in back child support starting June 1st. A federal jury in Pocatello has convicted a man of stealing the identity of a 14-year-old killed in 1977 in California and then using that identity for the last 25 years to obtain hundreds of thousands of dollars in government benefits. The true identity of the scammer is still not known. The Office of U.S. Attorney for Idaho, Bart Davis, says the man used the stolen identity to obtain a passport in 2012 and multiple state IDs, including an Idaho Star card as recently as 2022. The man's attempt to renew the passport in 2024 was denied. The unidentified man will be sentenced at a later date. Idaho Power is pulling out of power delivery in Oregon. The utility announced Thursday an agreement to transfer about 20,000 residential, commercial, and industrial Idaho Power customers in Mahler, Harney, and Wallowa counties to the Oregon Trail Electric Cooperative. OTEC already serves some customers in Harney County and neighboring northwest Oregon counties. The two utility companies say price hikes to affected customers will be less under OTEC compared to what they would have been under Idaho Power. The $154 million agreement will require approval from Oregon's Public Utility Commission. It will not affect Idaho Power's generation and transmission operations in Oregon, which create and supply electricity to users in Idaho. When the high desert of the Treasure Valley heats up in the summer, about 10,000 people a day float the urban stretch of the Boise River. That's according to a press release from Idaho Rivers United, a Boise-based nonprofit. Last year, the organization launched a Boise River Stewards program to give local people a chance to volunteer to help with river trash cleanup throughout the summer. More than 3,800 pounds of trash were picked up along the Boise last year. And last month, IRU's annual spring cleanup event, 233 volunteers picked up 1,400 pounds of trash on the river. Multiple cleanup events are planned this summer. Locals interested in volunteering can find out more at idahorivers.org. National parks are also popular destinations as the weather warms. Sites in southern Idaho saw a record number of visitors last year. Despite a 43-day partial government shutdown and staff shortages, 430,000 people visited Craters of the Moon, Hagerman Fossil Beds, City of Rocks, and Minidoka National Historic Site in 2025. Minidoka is where the U.S. government incarcerated 13,000 Japanese Americans during World War II. Friends of Minidoka director Robin Achilles says visitors told her they were concerned about President Trump's funding cuts to the national park system.
They really wanted to go see the site, especially given some of the immigration issues that have surfaced in this year.
The National Park Service says a record 43,000 people visited either Minidoka or its sister site on Bainbridge Island in Washington state last year. That's twice the number of visitors compared to 2024. This comes, Achilles says, as staffing is stretched.
Currently, there's a hiring freeze in the National Park Service, so there's about 35% vacancy in the South Idaho parks, and they can't hire for those positions.
Achilles says many employees work across the 4 southern Idaho parks, and the shortage is not sustainable in the long run. The dispute over millions of dollars in exit fees and poaching penalties between the Mountain West Conference, the Pac-12 Conference, and the schools leaving the Mountain West for the Pac-12 is finally close to being settled. A court filing this week indicated the parties had come to an agreement in principle. Boise State, in a shared statement with the other involved parties, confirmed the agreement in principle. Federal District Judge Susan Van Keulen delayed a previously scheduled hearing to June 9th and ordered the parties to file their final agreement in writing with the court by June 2nd. The Mountain West says Boise State and other departing schools owe a collective about $100 million in exit fees. The Mountain West also says the Pac-12 owes $55 million for poaching the 5 schools. That's a condition of a football scheduling agreement the conference has entered as the previous Pac-12 dissolved. Previous court-ordered attempts at mediation had failed. Boise State and 4 other schools from the Mountain West officially joined the rebuilt Pac-12 July 1st. The agreement was first reported by the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Separately, Boise State announced the creation of an entertainment management group within the Department of Athletics. The group will book and manage events at Albertson Stadium and Extra Mile Arena, which both host BSU athletics and major concerts and other non-athletic events. The arena was previously its own entity under the university. The change was first announced last fall and formally announced yesterday. Previous head of athletics facilities and operations Nathan Burke will lead the new Boise State Sports and Entertainment Group. Boise State has also hired an outside consulting group to review the fan experience at its venues for possible improvements. That is a full pod on a Friday. Lots going on around here this holiday weekend. Don't forget, the Boise Hawks still continuing their opening homestand with Ogden through this weekend at Hawks Memorial Stadium. Not far away, AC Boise returns to the home pitch at Expo Idaho Saturday, hosting Fort Wayne FC. Kickoff there is at 7 o'clock. I'm Troy Oppie. Hope you have a happy and healthy and safe holiday weekend. We'll be off for the Memorial Day holiday and back with you again on Tuesday. The Connector is a production of listener-funded Boise State Public Radio.
You know, every day on Up First, NPR's Golden Globe-nominated morning news podcast, we bring you 3 essential stories. At the heart of each story are questions. What really happened? What really mattered? What happens next? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious and to follow the facts. Follow Up First wherever you get your podcasts and start your day knowing what matters and why.